From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use that promo code Warchant30 for 30 free days of access. You can get a matchup breakdown from the one and only Gene Williams, great writing from Corey Clark and Irish O'Fell, recruiting news from Michael Langston, who I think is making his way back up from Orlando after a one-on-one sit-down with Chambray Jackson, who committed to Florida State about 2 weeks ago. So lots of stuff going on over on the website. This show will be busy. We got over-unders, free stuff to give away, clothing and food from Zaxby's, or at least Zaxby's branded clothing, and over-unders, and then Renegade Express. So we got a full one today. Corey, how are you, man? It's Friday. Kind of.
Good, man. We made it. We made
Thursday
it again.
while we're recording it, but you know how
Sure,
it goes.
yeah, but people are listening to this. It's Friday. I'm in the Friday mood.
That's right.
Even on a Thursday. Yeah, man. Feeling good. Feeling great.
When you heading up to the Ville?
I'll be heading up to the Ville on Friday afternoon.
Okay.
So, mere hours after you folks listen to this fine program, I'll be on the road to Louisville.
See, first away game in the pandemic world. I don't know. I'd be like, Doak is, I know my ins and outs from Doak. I've never been to Louisville. Have you been? You've been to Louisville, I'm sure. So you probably,
Oh, yeah.
like
I've been
back
to
your hand.
Louisville 3 times. I was there for the Thursday night game,
Oh,
the comeback. I was there for the Lamar game, and then I was there for the who got that interception? Was that Westbrook? When they were about to lose and Louisville threw a pass for some reason and Florida State intercepted it.
Oh,
and then went down the
18?
field.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, we'll give it to AJ.
I think it was AJ Westbrook. Yeah, I was there for that one too.
I'll always remember the 14 game because I think I had just gotten off set, or maybe I just got off set for like the 6 o'clock, had to do a couple things to get the show for the 10 o'clock kind of ready. I'm like, and I'm not going to be here for the 10 o'clock, everybody. I'm like, I got to go watch Florida State. And like as soon as I got in the car, like first drive, didn't they score like they had a big, I feel like their first touchdown was like a 40, 50-yard chunk play. But I don't recollect it immediately. But anyhow, I remember like being in the car, they scored, and by the time I like got back to my house, which was a 5-minute ride from my car, from the station, like by the time I drove home, parked, got back inside, it was like a 2-touchdown deficit. I'm like, oh no, is this going to finally be the night? It wasn't, America. It wasn't.
That's right. That's right. Jameis made sure of it. Dalvin Cook, I think, had a couple touchdowns in that game too.
Ermon Lane, just I mean, if they would have won the national title in 14, like that play, I know it didn't happen in a playoff game. It didn't obviously happen in a national title game because they didn't make it that far, but that would have been like I still think, unless if another Kelvin moment would have happened, like that was the iconic catch. I still don't understand how that throw made it through and how he made that catch, but
he did, though, didn't he?
He did. Can't take that away from him. All right, let's get back on the ponies. Big Steve-O 22 ended us on Thursday or our show, but he had 2 parts, and I forgot to get to the second part. He says, and he asks, or posits, now that we've beaten a top-ranked team, I think the next step would be to get one of those blowout ACC wins that we used to be accustomed to getting. From what you have seen so far, if the Noles play a complete game, what opponent on the schedule do you see FSU potentially blowing out, if any? I don't think we're there yet, Corey. What about you?
I don't. I would say the best candidate would be Virginia.
Okay.
But, look, Florida State will be able to lose to Virginia, too, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But every time I watch Virginia, it looks like they have a fullback playing quarterback. Like, literally, there's a guy wearing number 38 throwing passes. There was a guy wearing 89. Like, who knows what they're going to do. They might have linebackers playing quarterback. But, yeah, to me, Virginia looks like the best bet, but I'm not betting on any blowouts this season. Man, wouldn't that be something, though, if they finish November with, like, other than Clemson, they finished November with, like, 3 touchdown wins over Duke and Virginia and whoever else, NC State.
Yeah, and like what is a blowout? Like, does it have to be just cruise? Like they never get within one possession of you after like
yeah,
the
man.
second
Like if
quarter
you're in
or
the fourth
something,
quarter and you're playing Chuba as a backup
Yeah.
because the game's over, that's a blowout.
Okay. I think the next step is like a winning streak. You know, let's get like a 4-game winning streak. Although I think Clemson falls somewhere in there to maybe foil that. But I think that's like the next step. You know, and it might not be this season, but like in terms of like hallmarks, landmarks on this march back on this climb. I think
you want a winning streak. I got you. I feel you.
Like something substantial. I don't know if a blowout is in the cards or if that is like indicative of anything. But hey, we're talking about it now, and it doesn't sound silly to talk about it, so that's a great thing, right? Knoll 6, wake up! Hey guys, Louisville week. After the upset against North Carolina, we have to keep it up. Let's stay motivated and avenge our Louisville beatdown when Lamar was there. That's all he says. All right. Don't forget Lamar. Don't forget Lamar.
All right. Okay. I think they avenged that 2 years ago. That basically that win 2 years ago essentially got Bobby Petrino fired.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, that's right.
And got you Jordan Travis, really, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that worked out.
K-Knoll 19, which I could have just said is K-Knoll 19, but I went with the verbatim. Wake up! Still pumped about Saturday night's performance over here. It was not complete dominance, but that electric start and to finally see this team not lose a big lead is a great sign that Norvell is turning things around. I haven't been this optimistic about the future of the program since the Orange Bowl win versus Michigan. I have not seen a snap of Louisville football this season, so my question to both of you is, what matchups, or just matchup, with the Cardinals do we have an advantage, and what matchup, or matchups, are most concerning? It is my first time. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. Mandarin High School, alma mater of former Knoll linebacker Sam Cowart and cornerback Tony Carter. Keep up the great work, fellas. Tony Carter.
Two Seminole greats.
Yeah, man. Mandarin, that used to be a power. I haven't heard Mandarin in the mix in a long while.
No, are they not any good anymore?
I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I just haven't kept up with prep football. Need to get back on it.
Yeah, but
their passing defense, there's nothing about them statistically as I look at them, Corey, that stands out. They just did limit Notre Dame to under 106 yards passing is all that Notre Dame had. And I know it's kind of a weird game because, as you pointed out in Warchant report, they only had 7 possessions, Notre Dame. But I think with Florida State not having Tamori and Terry out there, which they didn't have against North Carolina either, I understand that. But maybe if Jordan's arm isn't as sharp as it was, as crisp as it was in weeks past, and you don't have that one guy to stretch the field and they can maybe play some guys closer to the box, maybe that creates a problem. But there's nothing that scares me at all, really. But maybe I'm just being overly optimistic or overly confident, Corey.
No, I mean, on the other side of the ball, there's some matchups that are going to be an issue. You want to say that your defensive line is an advantage over their offensive line because their offensive line isn't great, but they find a way to make it work. The Hawkins kid is awesome, and they're gonna run the ball on you. That's what they do. They have a mobile quarterback, although he hasn't run much this year. I'm not really quite sure why. But the Hawkins kid's going to run for yards. He's good. And I think that's the biggest mismatch. If you want to say a position versus another position, I'll say Louisville's running back versus your linebackers, if you want to make it that simple. If you want to strip it down that much, that's going to be, they got to make some hits. He is just almost impossible to tackle one-on-one. He's going to break tackles or he's going to get by you. So you have to rally to the ball, man. But they did get good practice because North Carolina's running backs are really good too. And they didn't.
Where do they
really
come
good.
from, man? Where do those?
I don't. Who knows, man? Who knows? And they didn't really slow those guys down necessarily, but they did. You saw that when they tackled especially the 25 kid, there were 5 guys around him at all times, or trying to be anyway. Sometimes they just couldn't get there, but they were trying. So that was a good sign. Yeah, but that Notre Dame game was really weird because you see that score of 12-7, you're like, man, I watched Louisville play Miami. Right. And they couldn't stop anything.
Georgia Tech, for the love of God.
Yeah, and then I saw the last 3 quarters against Georgia Tech, or that second half against Georgia Tech, they got riddled. And then they only lost 12-7. And then, you go look at the Notre Dame game. It was such a weird game. Each team had the ball 7 times. Like Notre Dame had the ball 3 times in the second half. They ended the game with an 8-minute drive that ended with no points. They just kept the clock running until the game was over. So Notre Dame got inside the Louisville 5 twice and didn't score. They had a 90-yard drive where they went for it on 4th down and didn't make it. They had another 80-yard, 8-minute drive that ran out the game where they just took a knee at the 5 because the game was over. He didn't do that against Florida State, though, did he? My man was trying to run it in. And they had 2 70-yard drives that ended in field goals. So they only had 1 3-and-out. They moved the ball. If you look at the play, yards per play, it was like 7. It's just they didn't get a lot of at-bats because I guess Louisville's had a ball control offense too because they only had the ball 7 or 8 minutes. I don't know if there was a running clock. When was the last time a college football team had 7 possessions? So that was bizarre. But
Florida State versus Georgia Tech.
Yeah, maybe
14.
So I would say that that score doesn't scare you, but it does show you that Louisville at least got a little better on defense. So it's not going to be they're not going to be what they were probably against Miami.
And they got Javian Hawkins. He was a 2-star running back from Cocoa Beach, and then Tutu Atwell, one of their more dynamic wide receivers. He's a Miami kid, so you always kind of fear those guys.
Yeah, that's too bad too. And that Tutu Atwell is legit too, man. You're going to hear their names a lot. Atwell and Hawkins, they're really good. They're two of the better ones. They might be, other than what's at Clemson, they might be the best running back wide receiver combo in the country. In the conference.
Yeah. Captain D_63. It's Daryl in Thomasville, North Carolina. Good morning, fellas. Jordan Travis has resurrected his team, that's for sure, but some are trying to put him on the same level as Charlie Ward. Let's slow our roll down on that for now, everybody. Charlie, when he ran the ball, was running it with such ease and a flow to it that it almost seemed effortless. Charlie was the man, and right now Jordan Travis is good. I enjoy watching him. He has his team going in the right direction, but let's slow down on putting him on the same level as Charlie right now. By the time he leaves FSU, maybe, but not yet, my friends. My question, why did the defensive line start playing like they did this past Saturday? These guys were touted as one of the best defensive lines in the country, so is it because North Carolina, or is it that they're starting to finally buy into the coaching? Thanks, guys, for keeping us up on all FSU sports. Keep up the great work. You know the drill. Hit the thumbs up, eat Zaxby's, subscribe to Warchant. Go Noles. Go Noles.
Go Noles. Yeah, that the second part, I don't know. We tried to opine on it and just can't really come up with a conclusion because they didn't even have a lot of depth. They were as thin on Saturday night as they were all season, and they played better and harder than they had all season. I don't know if True Thompson and Fabian Lovett were weighing them down. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense because especially Fabian Lovett had been playing really well. I don't know. I don't know what the difference was, but it looked like a completely different unit. I don't. You know, they've all talked about the more experience you get, the more you believe in what you're doing, the more confidence you are in the game plan and your role. You play faster. Yeah. So maybe it could just be that they're now 5 games in, so that they feel more confident in their role, and so they can play faster and not so hesitant. But that still doesn't make sense why they were flying off the ball like that necessarily. They should be flying off the ball, whether they know what gap they're supposed to be in or not. They should be pushing guys back and playing hard and flying off the ball, and they weren't. But Saturday night they were. So let's see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, it would have been nice if we would have been able to speak to a defensive lineman. We did get Odell. I think actually my internet was going wacky during Odell as well, unfortunately, on Wednesday when we got him. But yeah, it would have been interesting to speak to the players themselves to see what it was. I don't know if they would have given us any more insight, but I don't know, like the coaches, if Adam Fuller or Odell been like, yeah, we asked them to do something different, or there was a different kind of principle, or we told them just to play fast and to not worry about X, Y, and Z, because it just doesn't. You would like to think that, again, like a guy like Marvin Wilson comes back for a money year, that he doesn't need, the giddy up. He should be woe-buddied than have to be giddied up. I mean, same thing for Robert Cooper, Fabian Lovett. I mean, all these guys have aspirations of doing big things, and to kind of turn the switch on 6 weeks into the season just seems a little bit odd. But again, your point, maybe the confidence now is there with what they're being asked to do because they've repped it so much. I don't know. It's one of those mysteries, but hopefully it continues. Gosh, I hope it continues. That'd be clutch. Key.
And also, I hope nobody's comparing Jordan Travis to Charlie Ward. His ceiling isn't that high. He's a good football player and could be really good by the time he leaves here. He's not going to be Charlie Ward.
Knowles MG4. Wake up! My war chant gentlemen. Being the underdog is a good thing. IMHO, in my humble opinion. Because we need to have that hunger and fight. Hopefully that chip is still on the shoulder. This is the most I have been excited since the second half of the Boston College game in 2013. After those adjustments at linebacker, we began an unbelievable run. Hopefully Jordan Travis can preserve his body for a whole season so we can see what a growing offense will look like. I have just one question. Do you think Coach Mike Norvell shrinks a little in the pressure situations? Just the way he has handled timeouts and Webb after running the ball and getting winded, I would think he would bring in Corbin or maybe number 9. That's Lawrence Toafili. Truly appreciate what you all do. Go Noles. Eat a lot of Zaxby's.
I always thought the H stood for honest. in IMHO.
Oh, I was humble. But hey, honest, that works too, in my honest opinion. Okay.
Look, I'm not humble.
Right.
Most people, if you really think about it, that use IMHO, I'm not besmirching the good questioner here, but I think most people that use IMHO, they're not humble. They're giving their opinion when maybe it wasn't even asked for.
Okay.
So it's their honest opinion, which again is, why would you give a dishonest opinion? If it's your opinion, just give it anyway. But so maybe it makes more sense to be humble.
Yeah.
You might be right. Sorry.
I remember that one of the games I went and watched when he was at Memphis was, I think, the 18 game against UCF. They ran out to like a 31-3, 31-7, big-time lead on UCF. And the way they lost the game was on a pre-snap penalty pretty much, so I wouldn't say that like he shrunk in the moment. The only thing that he did that was questionable, and it's total Monday morning armchair quarterbacking, was he tried to freeze the UCF kicker before half on a long field goal, and they got the snap off, and the kid kicked it anyways, and he missed it. And then, but the timeout was called, and then when they got to actually kick it, and it meant something, the kid actually hit it. But that happens to people every Saturday and Sunday in football. There's nothing in like the 3 whole games I watched at Memphis that were big time games. Like the Temple game they lost, which they shouldn't have lost. But I didn't see any sort of game mismanagement that made me think like he can't handle the big moment.
No, I would say again the only things that I've seen so far are really before halftime. He's made some decisions that to me were odd. The Notre Dame game especially, not running some clock there. You have to account for your defense and that the offense is going to go try to score. And then, using the timeouts like he did at the end of the first half against North Carolina, but it worked out because they went right down the field and scored. And I would say that, like, I think a person that has that in their nature, that's too conservative, that shrinks in the big moment, they take a knee when they get the ball with a minute left and no timeouts, already up by 17 going into half. And if he would have done that, like I promise you Jimbo would have, would have done that, they lose that game. So him going for it, I think Jordan got a nice run, or LaDamian Webb got a nice run right out of the gate, and then Jordan had a scramble, and then he hit Thompson, and then all of a sudden you're at the 15, so you're going to go score. But I just think that plays that shows his aggressiveness. It
was Jordan, 15-yard run.
Was that what it was? That's how it started?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good drive starter. That kid does some things for you.
But that's what Kenny said. Kenny was like, we're just going to run a safe play.
Yeah.
That, might be able to get us some yards, and we kind of go from there. And they did. 6 points later. 7.
Again, the only mistake that I think he made in that second half, and again, it's easy for me on my couch to nitpick, but I've done it with every coach that's been here. I'm not going to stop with Mike Norvell in Game 5. The false start before the LaDamian Webb Wildcat.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, you've got to see that your quarterback is banged up. He's barely even getting lined up in his spot at wide receiver by the time there's 2 on the play clock. Your linemen are getting jumpy. The clock is running. Let it milk down to 1. That's the drive. There's whatever there is, 6 minutes left in the game. If you score there by 2 touchdowns, that's a wrap. So, and it's 3rd and 3. It's not 3rd and 19. Call a timeout and get your wits about you. Get your team settled down. Make sure they're not, one of the linemen isn't jumpy that they're going to have a delay of game and he moves early. Like, that's just, know your team a little bit better than that would be my point, because they're a false start waiting to happen. In any big moment, say to your head, man, they might false start here. Let's make sure this doesn't happen. And that to me is where you have to call a timeout. It looked like they were confused. They didn't know what the play was. They weren't lining up quickly. Like you say, when it's 1 on the play clock, the defense is busting it up because they know you got to snap it. So anyway, that was the one that I thought. It's not like they called that Jordan Travis interception. It's not like they said, hey, man, if he's not open, just try to thread it in there anyway. Like Dillingham said earlier in the week when we talked to him, like, no, that guy's supposed to be wide open, and if he's not, you get 2 yards and get down. That's the play. That's what Jordan Travis has to learn.
Yeah. Again, these are correctable things. I don't think they're endemic of bad DNA for a coach.
And they didn't. They're
fair though. They're fair criticism.
Not that he's controlling the defense, although it is his team, so I'm sure he has suggestions for Fuller. They never really sat back. And even when they had a big lead, they weren't sitting back saying, all right, y'all just nickel and dime us to death and run some clock. Like, they were bringing pressure consistently in the second half, even with a big lead.
Yeah. ATX Knoll, wake up, fellas. How about our Knolls? Unfortunately for me, I did not watch the game live and just got score updates on my phone. I was wearing a specific Seminole t-shirt, or rather just a Seminole shirt, and specific shorts, as well as my fitted FSU hat. I will be wearing that combo going forward for the rest of the year, and I'll have to wait to watch the game after the fact. Can't mess with the juju. Yeah, that's really stepping up. I mean, the clothes is not so much, but man, you're not going to watch any games live now? I mean, come on, you can. It wasn't that. It wasn't that, ATX Noel. I appreciate you not messing with the juju, but you can live your life, man. Do you guys have any specific routines, superstitions that you do for game day and follow religiously? For me, I'll gladly give up watching the game live and wait for the replay if it means our team can win out. Oh, FYI, besides Clemson, I sincerely believe we can win every game on our schedule, minus Clemson. If we ball like we balled last week, we are absolutely able to run the table. What say you?
First off, this isn't the season to be that superstitious, man. Like, I would get it in 2014. Like, every time,
right.
If you're in a certain seat and they start playing well, you don't move. Those games mattered. This you don't have. Don't do it to yourself, man. Go watch the games. We didn't even know we were going to have college football this season. I feel lucky that we get to even watch sports right now. So don't do that to yourself. Go watch them. But just because it's not, whether they win or lose, it's not going to be a crushing loss because what this season is already.
They're an underdog. They're favored to lose.
That's right. I would say, do you have any superstitions?
No, I used to do this thing where I would always go like, miss it, when the other team was kicking a field goal, and they just kept hitting them all the time. And I did it in front of all my friends in the North Carolina 2016 game. I think that might have been the last time I did it. But it was only when I was at home watching on TV.
So when I was in Tallahassee, the Braves were playing the Marlins in the playoffs, and I think Stephanie was in the bedroom working, and I was watching the Braves, and they had a 5-0 lead in like the 5th inning, and then as soon as she comes out and says, "How's the baseball going?"
Oh no!
A guy hits I think he hits a ball down the line for a double, so now it's 5-1, and so from then on she was banished to not be able to watch any more of the baseball. So that worked because they won that series. And then I guess I'm probably way too superstitious. In fact, I learned my lesson. So anytime because I coach on Brady's rec ball team and we're the Phillies, so I have to wear the Phillies hat and the Phillies shirt and everything. And it's not like one of the cheap '80s. I mean, it is an actual like Philadelphia Phillies shirt and a Philadelphia Phillies hat. So anyway,
Gwinnett, baby, big time, first class.
Twice
this
class. Year. After a game, like on a Saturday or a Friday night, I would come home and watch the Braves, and they lost badly, or in like 12 innings, and I had the Phillies shirt on. And then on Saturday, I was at a practice, but I was at Brady's practice on Wednesday, and I had the Phillies hat on. Not the shirt because it was a practice, but I had a hat on. And by the time I looked at the score of the Game 3 of the Dodgers with the Phillies hat on, they were losing 11-0. I'm like, what? And then so Saturday we had a playoff game, and it started like an hour before the Braves game started. But by the time the game was over and I checked the score, they were already down 3-0 in the first. And I had my Phillies hat on and my Phillies shirt on. So I took those off in the car while I was listening to the game the rest of the way. And the Dodgers didn't score again.
There you go.
But they still lost. And then I don't know if you paid attention to Game 7, but they lost that one too. How about the Rays, though?
Yeah, Rays up. Look at that.
Fighting back.
Who'd have thunk? Well, they won Game 2 of the World Series last time they were in it and then proceeded to fold.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, though, even when you're up 5-0, the Dodgers just still – you don't feel safe. They do not make it easy almost ever.
And, yeah, they can run the table other than Clemson. You played the second-best team probably in the conference to within 2 scores on their field, and then you beat probably the third-best team in the conference. So, yeah, Virginia, NC State, Louisville, Duke. These are all imminently winnable games.
And Pitt is imminently winnable. They're all winnable. Now, again, in all of it, the caveat is your quarterback healthy and available.
Yeah.
But if this is the guy for the rest of the season, yeah, you can win all these games. Don't expect it, but it wouldn't be. It's not impossible like it would have been. Like I thought it was even 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I thought that there was no chance. Now I do think there's at least a chance.
And I kind of like out of all those remaining games, like you have the week off before Pitt. That's probably like the best, kind of 2-week prep to have in terms of I don't know, like bang for your buck. I mean, you can give yourself 2 weeks to prepare for Clemson. I don't know if that's going to be the difference. Like, I don't know if
you give yourself 2 years to prepare for Clemson. It's not going to matter.
I don't know if you need 2 weeks to prepare for NC State or Virginia or Duke, but it wouldn't hurt to do that for Pitt. And this also segues us to a good question, or a very apt question from Old Dadsanol. Thankfully, we can stop hearing about how amazing Georgia is. Once again, on the big stage, they lay an egg.
It's come on. No, that Alabama's awesome. Like it's the same thing with the Braves. Like I don't want to say the Braves laid an egg against the Dodgers. Watch the Dodgers play. Yeah. You try to get those guys out and hit 99 the whole game. I would say I don't think the Dogs laid an egg as much as they were just beaten by a better team.
Do you guys have a quarterback?
No.
Do they have a quarterback?
So he's not terrible. Yeah. He's good. He can win every game on the schedule except one. You can't beat Alabama with a kid like that.
Yeah.
When was the last time Alabama lost to a slightly above average quarterback? Like it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Like who would that have been?
Like 12 was like Manziel, Nick Marshall, but that was
Yeah, but he's a different guy. Like that's a whole different offense. Like a guy that's supposed to. They just
Bo Wallace at Ole Miss.
There you go. And when was that?
14.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen much. And that was who was Alabama's quarterback? Coker.
Blake Sims.
Oh, it was Blake Sims? I thought it was Coker in 14. Coker was 15.
15, yeah. Yeah,
so with the way their offense is and those wide receivers, man, you've got to put up 35 or 40 to have a chance. Oh. And Georgia's not going to do that with that kid.
Old Dadsanol goes on to say, I thought I heard you say that Florida State has a bye coming up. My question is, can they schedule a game that week? As many teams are playing goofy schedules, I would think it would be easy to find someone. This team needs that way more than another bye. Love the show, Old Dad. I don't agree with that. I think they could use the week off. I think this.
How old do you think Old Dad is? To have a moniker calling yourself Old Dad.
Old Dad. I'll set the over-under at 66.5. I would take the over.
You take the over? But so you don't – okay, all right. That is old. That would be an old dad. But, I mean, my dad was 69 when he died, so was he an old dad at 68? He was also a granddad.
Well, it's O-L, not old dad. It's old dad.
I thought you were saying old. Oh, okay. No, then I'm going to say 53.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
I don't know if they can play another game. I thought the whole thing was we're all going to play 11 games, so that would then put them at a 12th game, which I don't know if that's kosher. Like if you're trying to get, I don't think anyone's like allowed to play more than what the ACC kind of allotted for everybody. But yeah, he was just basically saying with the week off coming up, can they schedule an opponent rather than take the week off? He thinks it would be more valuable to keep playing than to take a week off.
No, I think at this point I don't know the rules, but I would say no. I think the ACC mandated 11.
Yeah.
You've got 11 already. I think if you would have had a game canceled, you could maybe be making arrangements. But Florida State hasn't had any games canceled, so they wouldn't have the right by ACC bylaw to then schedule a game on their off week. I would say that if you could schedule like a Samford, but you don't want to schedule like Virginia Tech or Florida. Like you need your quarterback healthy. You need to get your star wide receiver back. You need to see if your star safety plays football anymore. All those things need to happen, and they should happen after the bye week, right? Because the bye week's after Louisville, right?
Yeah.
It's coming up. Yeah, so
it's
that
well
gives
placed.
You. Yeah, the first one was terribly placed.
Yes,
but this one comes perfectly, I think.
I think so. If they go on to beat Louisville, I think some people might be like, well, just keep the momentum going. You don't want to take time off. But no, I think a week off to maybe have Terry back. Again, as you said, maybe Hamza comes back, and I'm sure Jordan's going to probably take a few hits, so he could probably use an extra week off
look,
as well.
And Pitt's defensive line is a monster. They're not a very good football team right now, but they have a very good defensive line. Very good. And, you can't have a quarterback that's banged up or slowed significantly in this offense that Florida State's trying to run and beat that defense because they're gonna hit him and hit him a lot. So you got to hope he's healthy enough to withstand it.
Yeah. Noli moly. Wake up, sup guys. In film review, when they watch a scramble play, do you think our offensive coaches will see something like a consistent breakdown and a receiver gets open and then design a play around that? Like, do they notice which way a receiver bursts, or a receiver, I think, bursts, and maybe will draw up a play at halftime? I don't know, but they figured it out, though. They spread the ball out. You know, they don't seem committed to one single guy, one single matchup. I mean, you know, Preston Daniel down the seam on a pop pass, and then obviously Pokey, Warren, Keyshawn. I mean, those are numerous different sort of things that are getting dialed up. So maybe, I don't know so much the coaching, or maybe this quarterback just sees it better and he's able to.
I think the one play that you could, I don't know, like, again, I don't know the last time Norvell had somebody like this that could extend plays like this. It had to be Arizona State, right? That the play to Helton is a play that you could see maybe becoming an actual play, because he probably has the ball for 5.5 seconds before he throws it. So Helton's running a deep in route, basically. To me anyway, on the replay, it looked like he ran about 20 yards and then did an in route. And so that takes 3 or 4 seconds right there. There's no way that's a double move typically. The double moves are very quick. It's like the Terry move against Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. It's just one step and then back out. You don't have time to do like 4 steps and then cut it out. The play's over. So, but Keyshawn Helton ran like, I don't know, probably 25 steps and then cut it, and then saw that Travis was rolling to his right and then cut up field, and that's why he was wide open, because the defenders knew, well, this is the play. He's running in route. They read it well. They had him covered, and then he cut it back out after Travis rolled out. Maybe you could plan for something like that, like maybe give Travis maybe a play like that where it looks like it's a rollout, or it looks like he's broke containment. It looks like it's a scramble. It looks like he's going to run, and then you cut it. So you're running a deep end route, and then you cut it up. Maybe they can make that a play, I guess. Because it certainly worked, and if he makes a better throw, it's a touchdown.
FSU _ 23. Wake up, guys. Wake up, guys. You guys are going to kill my voice here. 2 things I wanted to mention. First, I don't know if you heard Mac Brown's press conference after the game, but here's a quote. Quote, I was a little worried about this being our first night game we've played, and you sit in that hotel all day, but I just was concerned about that before the game, and sadly, I was right. Really, Mac? You're the number 5 team in the country, and your excuse for losing the game is that your players were in the hotel all day? I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I don't know if he was making an excuse. I think when you're a North Carolina football player, this is going to sound like a shot. I guess it is. You're not used to playing primetime games. You're just not. I doubt he made that excuse last year when they they didn't play Clemson at night, did they?
Yeah,
they played a
game.
So, yeah, I mean, they're not used to playing at night. That's fine. Imagine the Florida State players that are used to being in bed by 7:30 because they got a 5 a.m. practice. So that wasn't an excuse for them. They still went out there and played, even though it was way past their bedtime. Yeah, you know how coaches are, man. They like their routines.
Yeah. They're paranoid, yeah. They're overly concerned about every little detail, and that's like one of the details that they'll lose sleep over. But I don't know if that was him making an excuse. But, yeah, I mean, whatever. We won. You lost again, Mac. Good for you. Yep. Where's all the we should have hired Mac Brown posts this week, though, Corey? I haven't seen a lot of those come through.
Were there a lot of those last week?
Well, people considering we should have hired him instead of Willie. And it's like, well, let's wait. I know I'm being reactionary, so you guys are allowed to be reactionary as well. It's fine. That's how it works in a family. We can all be crazy. Secondly, FSU _ 23 says, I'm not worried about Jordan Travis's health because I don't think he'll need to run it that much against our upcoming opponents. He ran the ball over 15 times in the past 2 games to give us a chance to win. We're not going to face a defense like Notre Dame, except Clemson, or expect a shootout like North Carolina for the rest of the schedule. I trust that he can mostly rely on his arm for the rest of the season for us to win.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. I think what makes
They're all going to be track meets pretty much.
Yeah, right? Not only that, but I think what makes this offense unique is his running ability. If you take away his legs, you're taking away more than half of his ability. Like if you think of all the some of the big plays he's made with his arm, a lot of them have been scrambles and rollouts. The pass we just talked about to Helton, the pass to McDonald. He's got to be mobile, and he's got to be. They've got to think he's even if maybe you don't need to run him 18 times, but he has to be a running threat. Number 1 to help with the passing game. Number 2 to help with LaDamian Webb, because if they know that quarterback isn't going to pull it, or he's going to pull it once out every 8 plays instead of once out every 2. Man, it becomes a lot harder to run. This offensive line hasn't taken that big a step where you can be predictable in the running game and get a lot of positive yards. So moving forward, this is how it's got to be. What makes this offense go right now, when you think of all the first down runs he's had, and I'm talking about running for first downs, not running on first down, but running for first downs on like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, Those are drive extenders. They also put points on the board. And if you take that away and just rely on his arm, I don't know that he's there yet. I don't know that he's there yet to make those throws. He's better. He's a much better passer than any of us thought. But I still don't think he's a guy that you're going to rely on his arm to win the game moving forward. He's got it. The reason this offense is going right now is one reason, really, and it's his legs.
Yeah. To you, in your opinion, Corey, what's more valuable, Jordan's ability to run read option, like design run stuff, or his ability to run and scramble when those design pass plays kind of break down? I think it's the read option stuff.
Yeah, I do too, because of what it does.
Away.
Because of what it does for Webb.
Yeah.
I do too. I just think, look, we've watched this offense try to run a read option that's not a real read option, and it gets blown up half the time. Cam Akers was awesome to get 1,166 yards or whatever he did last year.
1144.
1144. I apologize, listener, for that mistake. I just think this guy isn't just a mobile quarterback. He's not like a Malik Cunningham that is fast when he wants to be. This guy is a sensational runner of the football. Not just good for a quarterback. He is a sensational running quarterback. And if you take that away from him, then I guess he becomes just an average guy. And you've had too many average quarterbacks for too long. I get it. You're putting his body at risk, and you don't want to do that. So you can figure out a way to, spare him some hits, but eventually he's just going to have to start like he did against the North Carolina. At the end, he was running out of bounds more. But, buddy, he's a competitor, and he's tough. And if it's 3rd and 2 and there's a guy a half yard in front of the yard marker, he's going to do everything he can to get around him or go through him. And that you can't change that, or your offense goes back to being not very good, in my opinion. In my humble opinion.
There you go. IMHO. T. Winch, 1986. Wake up! Longtime listener, first-time subscriber. Before Aslan struggles with the pronunciation of my username, it's T. Winch. My bad. It was how they shortened my last name, Winchester, for my college email address. I was born in Tallahassee, moved to Belmont, North Carolina when I was in middle school, unfortunately home of former Clemson safety Tanner Muse, and randomly somehow the Jonas Brothers. They have a second-rate Southern cooking restaurant in downtown called Nellie's Southern Kitchen. Is that a recommendation? But it's second-rate.
He said second-rate, so no, unless you're looking for second-rate restaurants.
Okay.
But it'd be cool to go. I didn't know the Jonas Brothers were from. I don't think I knew the Jonas Brothers were from North Carolina. I'm positive I can't name any of their songs. I know one of them's named Nick.
That's right.
But I also didn't know they owned a restaurant.
I think Joe's a Jonas brother as well.
Joe Jonas, yep, I've heard of him too. The other one, I'm not sure what his. It's like I think is Mikhail.
I don't really have a question, but I have a theory. Wait for it. Kenny Dillingham made a very astute statement when he said, quote, "We just finished our 6th scrimmage this year after the Notre Dame game. If we take this approach and looking at the defense and our tackling, it gives me reason not to be so hypercritical of how awful our tackling has been. As a former high school football coach, I know firsthand how much time is spent on tackling drills during spring, summer, and fall camps. Also, with COVID protocols and limitations placed on physical contact at first, I do expect to see our tackling get better as the year progresses. However, I do think that moving forward in recruiting for the defense, we need to not let star rankings drive who we recruit and go actually watch these kids in practice as well as games to get a real sense of who they are. Thanks for all the help on these enjoyable mornings listening to the show. I will apologize for my dad and his 4-star rating y'all read on the show a while back."
Oh,
sorry, man. I got him listening to the show because there's nothing as far as FSU coverage up here. But go Noles. I think we steal a road win 35-21. All right, that's good. That's great. Thanks for your dad for listening. Thank you for subscribing.
You can go ahead and give us a 5-star to make up for your dad's.
And your dad can go and edit it. He can add the 5th.
Yeah,
That'd
that's true.
Cool. That'd be pretty cool.
Throw another star up there.
Yeah. The tackling hasn't bothered me, man. I don't know. Like the tackling hasn't bothered me. It's been like the pursuit. It's been the aggression. It's been getting to the quarterback. The softness of the coverage. Like the tackling really hasn't bothered me as much as those other things. But I understand your point, T. Winch.
And I do too. And the tackling has not been good. It's just there have been bigger issues. And now that they seem to be rallying to the football and being where they're supposed to be some of the time, then it will become a bigger issue if they don't get better at it. But that's a really good point. Like coaches kind of they're very, very hesitant now to do a whole lot of tackling in August. Because, buddy, especially this year, you didn't know how many practices you were going to have before it had to be shut down. You had to install. You had to get as much installation as you could. You had to get as much scheme work as you could on yourself. And you don't want to lose your best guys because he pops out a shoulder or he gets hurt. He gets crushed by a teammate in a tackling drill. So, I mean, there's still contact. They still thud, like Jimbo used to say. But there's just not a lot of tackling. And when you don't practice something a lot and you're playing unique talents, like the kid at Notre Dame, like De'Aaron King, like the guys at North Carolina, even if you practice tackling for 100 minutes a day, those guys are going to be tough to tackle either way. But when you don't ever practice tackling, with good reason, because you don't want to get guys hurt, then you see the effects of it. And look, man, North Carolina's probably not. Their fans aren't really excited about their tackling either. They're like, why couldn't they get 13 on the ground? What is number 8, the next Warwick Dunn? Why couldn't they tackle him? Like, they're saying the same things. I think that's happening kind of all over the country, except at Georgia. They tackle like – I'm just doing that for the other question. They still tackle – I don't know if you watched that game. Yeah, they gave up 42 points and 550 yards, but they were bringing it. They were bringing the pressure. So, yeah, I think there have been bigger issues on the defense than the tackling. But that is the one thing that should definitely improve.
Yeah.
Or one of the things that should be definitely improved as you get more work at it.
Eagle_bear. Wake up, gents. First-time poster who's originally from Castlewood, Virginia. I am the most famous person from there, so that tells you a lot.
Okay. Well, I wonder who this person is.
IMHO. I am the most famous person from there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. All right, question. Would you rather go 5-6 with an upset over Clemson or 7-4
yes.
with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, it could have mattered what the other alternative is.
Well,
yeah. No. If you're beating Clemson, buddy, if you beat North Carolina and Clemson in the same year in your first year, you could lose the next 2 games by the next 3 or 4 games by 20 points each. You still got Clemson. You beat Clemson, man. Yeah. That's that. Dino is still at Syracuse for beating Clemson 4 years ago.
Wasn't that long ago. It was like 3. 17 he did it.
Sorry. So, like, it's like, man, and look where Syracuse is now, so maybe that's not a great. But I just think we shouldn't even talk about it. It's too crazy a hypothetical. But if they beat Clemson and just won 2 other games, man, they would make a video. They'd make an hour-long video produced by Seminole Productions about the Clemson win. I'm just telling you.
Oh, man. Well, it was 5-6 upset win over Clemson or 7-4 with another beat down by Clemson included. What is better for recruiting? I pick 7-4, says Eagle_bear. A winning season helps sell the program to recruits. Nah, man. Beat Clemson.
I think normally I would not maybe disagree with that. This season is so unique anyway with COVID that unless you're playing in the playoff, I don't think people – I mean, or you go 0-11, I think there's not going to be a lot of difference in a recruit's eyes between 5-6 and 7-4.
Yeah.
But the difference in a recruit's eyes from, they got beat by Clemson by 100 points again to, wait, they beat Clemson? If you're trying to sell your program to recruits, you can say, look, last year we went 6-7. This year we went 7-4. See how much we're improving? They'd be like, well, yeah, all right, but this team that was 11-0 is recruiting me. Like Clemson's recruiting me. They never go 7-4. But if you say, look, last year we were losing to Clemson 42-0. The year before we lost to Clemson 59-10. This year we beat Clemson. In my first year, we beat Clemson after getting embarrassed 2 years in a row. Buddy, that's the only selling point you need.
Yeah. Gator188, also known as Gator Kirk. Wake up. Hope the Mavericks of the Media are doing well. Okay, big win this past weekend. Now, what do you say about 6 wins in the regular season? Maybe we already lost the game we should have won, Georgia Tech, and that's out of the system.
Yep.
Thanks for being the best. Must be the money. Score prediction, Florida State 42, Louisville 17. Ooh.
Is that Gator? That was Gator Kirk again?
Gator Kirk, yeah.
Gator Kirk, I hate to do this to you. We just talked about the superstition. When you're all on the Florida State train and predicting these crazy wins, it never comes to fruition, buddy. You got to be more realistic. You got to be almost a pessimist and say, look, I just hope we keep it close. Louisville 31, Florida State 25. And then I think Florida State has a better chance. Let's not go from one win to all of a sudden jumping onto another a huge 25-point win on the road. I think that's too big a leap for us, Gator Kirk.
Yeah. What do you think, though? 6 wins. So you have Louisville, and then you have week off. You got Pitt.
Yeah, you'd have to win 4 of the 5
at
remaining
NC
winnable
State,
games.
Yeah, at NC State, Clemson, Virginia, at Duke.
And again, remember, the at part of these things isn't that big a deal anymore.
Yeah.
I know it was kind of loud and dope, but that's the Marching Chiefs are awesome. It was a night game, and but it still wasn't what it would have been. It still wasn't a true road game environment, like the poor Gators had to experience in College Station.
Yeah.
So if you can get the 6 wins if you win 4. They're not going to win all 5 of the games they have a chance of winning, but they could win 4 of them if they're getting as much. If they're improving at the rate that we think they are, then they could and maybe even should win 4 of the 5. And if you win, so it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I'm still not counting on it. I think this game could tell us a lot about where they really are. Like, they're not as good as they looked in the first half against North Carolina, but they're certainly not as bad as they looked against Miami for all four quarters. So the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think this Louisville game will kind of tell us what to expect the rest of the season. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they go out and beat Louisville, like somebody said, 35-21, but then I think you're thinking, okay, yeah, they're going to get to 6 wins.
Give me the Gators
7 wins
in the
if
bowl
they beat
game.
Clemson. Yeah, then beat Mullen in the bowl game.
Let's go. N Creature. Wake up, guys. Long-time lurker since 2004. Let's see here. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, he's
a subscriber.
He's been a subscriber since 2004. He's only had 226 posts.
Okay, so he's making about 14 posts a year. So like once a month.
No, really?
A little more than once a month, right?
Terrible. I trust you. I'm terrible. I'm not the math guy. By the way, this post is 436 words.
So he's making up for lost time.
There we go. Hey-ho. I used to work for FSU Athletics back in the day. I remember when it was just Gene sitting in all those press conferences by himself. You guys
I just did the math, by the way. It's 13.8 posts per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said 14, so
look at you, man.
I crushed that pretty quickly. Anyway, go ahead.
You guys have built a fantastic product in the years since. Well, it's a lot of it's Ira, a lot of it's Gene.
No, yeah, I'd say most of it's Gene. A small sprinkle of it is Ira, and then the rest is you and I.
Well, Langston.
In Langston, the recruiting is kind of a big deal at Warchant. But obviously, this thing didn't really take off until you and I, locked hands, and we just started flying through the moon.
All right, N Creature says, I'm from Southern California. There's obviously plenty of famous people. But where I grew up, within 30 or 20 minutes or so, D-Rob, Chris Ricks, Cam McDonald, Jane Lars Woodby, Michael Snare, noted outfielder Jack Rye. Nice. Maybe
a
an
lot
hour
of Florida
or so.
State luminaries.
Maybe an hour or so away from Lorenzo Booker, Travis Johnson, Sean Gilmartin, I suppose, if we wanted to claim him, and we don't, Malik Henry. By the way, it's always a gut punch reminder that you're getting old when guys like Chris Ricks are the same age as Mike Norvell. Literally feels like those guys were playing yesterday. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it also does feel like 20 years ago. All right, FSU's current head volleyball coach, Brooke Niles, is a SoCal native. It was awesome the 2 years that FSU played in the Rose Bowl because there's such a huge alumni base out here of people who made a name for themselves in Tallahassee and then moved west seeking greater fortunes, like Andy Enfield. Fun fact. No one on the 93 or 2013 roster was from Southern California, and only Raymont Skaggs in 99 and Torlendo Wall in 93, who was from Sacramento, are the only Californians, period, to play on a national championship team for FSU. There were also no Californians on any of Bob Brayman's national championship teams, but 3 on Mark Krikorian's 2 championship-winning soccer teams and 1 on the 2018 softball team.
Okay.
That was amazing. I love that. That's great. All right, I'm thrilled that we have proved ourselves gritty against North Carolina. I hope that toughness continues down the road, albeit with fewer stupid mistakes. But it literally took everything we had and some luck to beat an above-average Carolina team. Meanwhile, Clemson ran up the score on Tech last weekend. I'm not even sure that's what Dabo was trying to do because they had their punter, Will Spires, in at quarterback in the second half. I don't know how good of a team you have to be where your punter-passer rating in a game is second only to Trevor Lawrence, but we're not there yet. So my question is, what book do you have standing by to read in the fourth quarter when they do play us? Do they stream Netflix or Hulu up on the 9th floor? Any good fixer-upper type shows on HGTV these days to help pass the time?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't watch. That's a good question. Long, very long. Well, detailed.
Yeah,
I don't want to say long.
Yeah,
Detailed. A lot of California history, which is always nice. I guess they need to stop recruiting California, or that tells you that they're not going to win anything with as long as McDonald and Jaden Large-Woodby are on the roster.
Yeah.
Look, they're not Clemson. We get that, but I would. The one thing I would counter to is when he said that you gave North Carolina everything you had and you barely beat an above-average team. No, they were about to blow them out of the water if they don't get the dumb penalty, which was already also mentioned in the question. Yeah. Like that to me, we can say that they played as well as they possibly could, but they didn't. They had two false starts penalties that probably cost them touchdowns. One definitely did because they scored a touchdown on the play. And then I think the false start before the wild corb was going to be a touchdown drive. And then you had the slap that cost you 7 points. So you're talking about, and then you missed the field goal after that. So you're talking about you left 16 points out there. So you could have been been close to 50. You should have been close to 50 points just with dumb penalties that can be corrected. Not like, if this guy would have made an amazing play or if he just makes a cut here, he's out the gate. Not that, just literally like not doing dumb stuff. You put 50 points on the board. So I think North Carolina was lucky to be in the game, frankly, after halftime because they were ready to give up. Their defense did not come out fired up. They literally give up a 55-yard run on like the third play after getting tongue-lashed at halftime, being down by 24 points. They still give up a 55-yard run on the second or third play of the half. Other than that, I don't really read a lot of books. Yeah. Because I guess Netflix has taken that. Like I watch documentaries a lot, and I watch good shows, but I haven't really felt the need to read a book in a while.
Yeah, same here. I need to get better at that though, but I keep saying that all the time.
There's a book called Signing Day by Corey Clark and Ira Schoffel that follows the 2004 recruiting class. If you want to go back and read that, you could probably get that on Amazon for a couple of cents.
Okay.
And then you could have that ready for you when you're about to when the fourth quarter starts.
Is your bio on the inside sleeve, like the dust cover, or like on the back cover?
Yeah, my picture too.
Nice. All right, I'm going to try to find it.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know what is it, like the ISBN number or whatever? The ISBN, is that like the number that you use?
Yeah, but you're asking me if I know that off the top of my head?
I mean, it's your book.
Yeah, it's 10639-B17. No, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think if you just type it into Amazon, it might show up.
If people buy the book and mail it to you, will you autograph it for them for the holidays?
Of course. That would be funny if they spent like a cent to buy it, but then like $30 for shipping and packaging.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm excited for the thought of the Clemson game, although just Dabo is such a psychopath that I think he's just Lou Holtz on steroids. Like this whole, nobody believes in us, but coach, we're number one in the nation. I don't care. No one believes in us. Florida State's going to come out here, and it's this kid's he's like Charlie Ward and Jameis Winston rolled up into one. We got to be on our keys. They're like, coach, but they're like a game below 500. I don't care. So I am scared that he's still going to be able to push them because you hope that maybe we could maybe fly under the radar against him, but I don't think Dabo will allow that to happen. But
no, and I think he still remembers the Hopkins kick. He still remembers 51-14. He still remembers the overtime loss. Like, those were three of the more painful losses of his lifetime. So he's Steve Spurrier always had it out for Georgia because of what they did to him in college, and I don't think he ever beat him as a player. That he always wanted to break records when he played him. I don't think Dabo is going to take his foot off the gas much.
All right, last question, then we'll get to over-unders. Pistol Mike, wake up. Good morning, gentlemen. I think Travis will have a tough time against this defensive line, not because they'll be trying to hurt him for transferring, but I think they'll want to get their hands on Purdy. He's going to feel about as welcome as Sam Howell was. Ooh.
Okay.
Personally, I'm glad Travis never saw the field under Willie. I'm afraid if he had, Willie's job would have been safe. Then following the North Carolina win, he would have gotten them in the IPF with the music turned up to 11, playing some goofy game of wiffle ball or something just to get housed by Louisville this weekend. Okay. could have maybe happened. Finally, do you think Webb looked up at the tackler during the first play from scrimmage as Travis is scoring and said, "Gotcha. Take care, fellas"?
Yeah, he got hit. That was Surratt, right? That's the brother of the kid that I think he started as a quarterback, didn't he?
Well, the kid in North Carolina started as a quarterback and moved to
that's what I mean. His Surratt.
Sage.
Sage,
is
and
the
the other
one
one
at
is
Wake
Sage
Forest.
is at Wake, and then this kid is Chase, right?
Chaz?
I think his name's Chaz.
Is it Chaz?
They named their kids Sage and Chaz.
I don't know.
Yeah, apparently they did. They're both really good athletes.
They didn't name him Joe Surratt, though. That's right.
That's right. They ain't Joe.
They ain't Joe Surratt.
And so yeah, man, that kid played that perfectly. Like he had to be like, wait, what? You don't have the ball? And then he hears the crowd cheering behind him. He might have said that, but I don't know. Webb got hit pretty hard. I don't know that he was talking too much trash after that. But that kid's a really good player. Just not good enough on that play. He didn't tackle the guy with the ball.
That's right. All right, let's get to the overs and the unders. If you reply to this on the Tribal Council, if you could just do a descending order list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think, and then just either O or U, capital, instead of like writing everything out and, yada, yada. It makes grading this easier. Also, teachers, gosh, what a difficult job they have. Although I think everything's Scantron now. Like, can you imagine when you were in elementary school, like teachers having to grade your stuff hand graded, like look at everything? Anyhow, let's go to it, Court.
Right. All right.
FSU sacks on Malik Cunningham, 1.5. Over, under.
I mean, I think they're the sack machine now. So I'm going to say
I'm over. I'm going over.
I'm going to say over too. I'm with you.
Okay. Rushing yards for LaDamian Webb, 85.5. I mean, if I think it's going to be a track meet, and with the way he runs, if he just gets 2 big runs, he's probably at 80. I'm so darn bullish on this team right now.
I think I'm going to go under because I think Toafili's going to get some more touches. I think they're going to change their offense just a little bit because obviously Louisville is going to make an adjustment and they're going to have more guys in the box and they're going to be their whole week of practice has been on the zone read, I'm sure. So they're going to try their best to take that away no matter what. So they're going to have to hit some pop passes over the middle. So I think you're looking at Webb. I'm looking at him getting like 14 for 77. Okay. Still a very good day.
Yeah, I know that's.
But I don't see him going over 85.
Okay. Tackles by Steven Dix Jr. Corey 6.5 over under. He had 9 against North Carolina.
He also played 86 snaps, which is crazy. I'm going to say under.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Amari Gainer's going to be on the field more.
Florida's third down efficiency on offense, 38%. Oh, look at that. That's a new one. That's a new little wrinkle. Where were they at last one? They were 4 of 12, so there was that 33%.
There you go, Aslan. There you go.
Redemption.
You're doing it.
Redemption. That's a weird one. I don't know. I'll go first. I guess I'll say under. Although I just saw how bullish I was, but still, yeah, I'm going to say under.
I'm going to say over because they have not been good on third down. They were terrible against Notre Dame, and they weren't very, very much better against NC State. And I do think that's been something of emphasis this week in practice. The guy get better in the red zone. They got to get better on third down. So I think they're going to have some special third down plays, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 5, different distances with different plays that they think will work because they practiced it a lot. And I do believe in this coaching staff when they focus on something hard that they're going to get better at it pretty quickly.
Alex Mastromano, punting average 41.5. I'm going to say under.
You think he's going to be pooch punting a lot or something?
I don't know. I don't think his leg travels well. Early game.
And what time is it in Australia? Like his leg hasn't even woken up. Or it's bedtime. Who knows? I guess it'd be bedtime. What are we, 22 hours behind
Something
Australia
ridiculous.
Or a day? Who knows? Yeah, I'm going to say over though. I think he's due for a big one.
Okay. Total points scored, the official number. Again, all these numbers from the Williams Sportsbook, coldest beers, biggest, brightest televisions in town. 61 points, Corey Clark. Over under total points scored in this one.
Over. I'm not going under. I'm not going under again until there's a reason to.
Ooh.
Although it was under last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was 60-something.
But it shouldn't have been. Like I just talked about with the dumb penalties that Florida State had, it should have been over. It should have been over on that one too. So I'm going to stick with over.
I mean, they win like 34-24. I'll take the under just to shade you. Is that what they call it in the game?
I guess so.
Or hedging you. I don't know. Yeah, we're even right now. So this could be
I feel like we were different on a lot of these.
We were. Like the last three, we broke ranks. 4 out of the 6, we broke ranks.
This might end up being the pivotal week. I know all our listeners are writing down these picks as they hear them.
Yeah.
So if you're keeping track at home, this could be the pivotal week in the whole season of Corey Aslan over-under.
There we go. Do submit your picks over on the Tribal Council on warchant.com. Maybe I'll try to. I still haven't gotten up on Twitter this year, but maybe this will be the week. We'll see how it all goes. But do stay connected to warchant.com. Corey Clark will be on site in Louisville as Florida State takes on the Cardinals at noon on Fox Sports regional channels. So do tune in, and then we'll be back Monday to do this all over again. Corey, safe travels. What's your mindset as you get ready to go to the Bluegrass State?
Just, I want to make it there healthy. I want to make it there happy, and I think that's what all our goals should be right now. Right? We got an election coming up, kind of a big deal. I don't know if any of you have been watching TV lately, but there seems to be an election coming up. So I know that could get a little overwhelming. Just be healthy, be happy. Take Saturday to just enjoy college football because it's God's sport. It's what we all love. It's why you listen to this show. So just go out there and enjoy it. Go out there and enjoy it. Get rid of all the negative feelings about everything else. And for 3 hours or 12 hours, however long you're going to be in front of that TV, focus in. Oh, the Big Ten's back, baby, too.
That's right.
The Big Ten's back. So, by the way, one thing to look at. I know I was in the middle of a soliloquy, but that's over. Purdue has a chance to tie Florida State and who was the other one?
Oregon State.
Oregon State as losing a season opener for the 4. Oh, no, they would go to 5 in a row. If they lost this one, this would be their 5th straight season opening loss. So they would take the lead ahead of Oregon State and Florida State.
Do we know?
I guess Oregon State's got to play too here coming up, right?
Yeah. They gotta play
football. Yeah. So right now, Florida State is tied with Oregon State and Purdue, but neither one of Oregon State and Purdue have played their season opener yet. So they could both retake the lead in consecutive years with a season opening loss.
So this is good. You're giving us rooting interest for things other than Florida State. Although Florida State's playing, super early. On these noon games, I'm not a big fan of. Purdue has Iowa. They're hosting Iowa. Boy. Iowa's a 3-point favorite.
Yeah.
So go Hawkeyes.
And I don't know, who does Oregon State open with?
I don't know. Have they? Let me see.
I thought they announced their schedules.
Are they? When are they playing football? When do they start? Are they starting this week too? Pac-12? Are we all back?
I don't think they're
back?
I don't know that they're back this week. They might be, though.
Week 10 looks like they're back on November 7th.
Okay.
Oregon State plays Washington State.
Ooh, no love lost there.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, you know how it goes. All right, well, thanks for listening, everybody. Corey, thanks for dropping that knowledge on us. Go Noles, go Hawkeyes, and go to Zaxby's. It's been Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
And now, a math lesson. Let's say the Zaxby's chicken finger plate comes with 4, 5, or 6 hand-breaded fingers and 1 side of Zax sauce. Plus, you can try them with Zax sauce, honey mustard, hot honey mustard, tongue torch, teriyaki, wimpy, nuclear, barbecue ranch, sweet and spicy, insane. How many possible combinations does that make? Carry the 2 with a remainder... a lot. Zaxby's chicken finger plate. The sauceabilities are endless.